My best friend kissed my husband and it's destroying me. I, 28 female, have been with my husband, 27 male, for 6 years, married for 4, and we have 2 kids, 3 and 1. Everything in our relationship is perfect for us. He's the best husband and father to our kids that I could have asked for. I am absolutely in love with him, and his actions and words have always shown me that he feels the same way. There's no better feeling than going to sleep in his arms every night. Last weekend, my husband and I had some friends over and we were having a barbecue. We were all outside in the backyard, surrounding my husband who was on the grill. As the food got closer to being ready to eat, we all started sitting in our backyard table. Once the food was all ready at the table, my husband went inside to use the washroom and get another case of beer. I didn't realize that my best friend, 28 female, had followed him. When he was coming back out, my best friend hid behind the wall, separating our kitchen and living room, and surprised him by pulling and forcing a kiss. My husband immediately pushed her back and yelled, "What the fuck?" She immediately started crying and ran out of the house and left. My husband came back into the backyard and asked to speak to me privately and immediately told me what had happened. I was shocked and told him that it would be okay and that we could talk after everyone left. I managed to put on an appearance for the next couple of hours, but I was mentally distraught. After everyone left, my husband sat me down and told me what happened and showed me the footage from our living room camera. It was exactly as my husband had described it. My best friend of 10 years, the person who I treated as my literal sister, forcibly kissed my husband. After the 3rd date with my husband, she was the one I told that I was going to marry him. She knows how much I love him and how strong our relationship is, and still chose to try to come in the middle. For fuck's sake, our 3-year-old calls her auntie. My best friend tried showing up the next day just to talk, and my husband had to hold me back from beating the shit out of her, and he kicked her out and told her not to come back. It's been almost a week now and I'm nowhere close to moving on. I don't blame my husband one bit. He's completely innocent in this, and if anything, he's the victim. I've been lying down on my husband's chest and just crying every day and night. I'm so angry and frustrated and don't know what to do. My husband has been amazing, and like always, he just gets it and understands how I'm feeling. He brought me flowers almost every day and cooked my favorite meals multiple times in the last few days. I love and appreciate him all the more for it. I just don't know how I'm going to move on and trust any of my friends again after this. Sad. That's fudge. I really want to know why she did it or what her reason would be. She does have an update, and I saw the word affair in there because I just looked at it and now I'm really curious. I really just thought innocent husband, bad best friend, but something didn't make sense. I'm dumb. Why? I don't know why I didn't connect the dots. Like maybe they were sleeping together and that's why she felt the need to jump him or whatever. And he was just trying to find an out. But we'll see. After reading a lot of the comments, I realized that it was possible that my husband was having an affair with my best friend and he knew about the camera and acted accordingly to make sure I didn't suspect an affair. Her running out of the house, crying, my husband showing me the footage before I asked, and his love bombing would all make sense if he was cheating with my best friend. I can't be with the cheater, and I had to make sure my husband was loyal to me. On a side note, I made sure that my husband was okay and well after being forcibly kissed, and he said that he was fine and he didn't feel assaulted and it was just a kiss. He said that he was just worried about me because he knew how much this friendship meant to me. Oh my god, guys, before we read it, do we think it was a cheater? Do we think he is? I don't know, something's telling me it is because I've heard of best friend stuff, cheating on you, but I don't know. Please be wrong. Over the weekend, I looked through my husband's phone and laptop while he was doing yard work. Both of us have full access on each other's phones, and I didn't find anything out of the ordinary in my husband's phone. I checked his messages, WhatsApp, social media, and deleted messages folder. There was nothing suspicious on his phone or laptop. This morning, after my husband left to go to work, I arranged for our next door neighbors, a friendly elderly couple, to watch the girls for a couple of hours, and I went to my best friend's place without telling her I was coming. She works afternoon shifts, so I knew she would be there in the morning. She let me in and seemed scared, and I demanded to know the truth. She said that she had always been really attracted to my husband, and she had tried making advances before, but my husband had always shut her down. She admitted to being jealous of me and my perfect life with my husband. I should have seen the signs earlier. When our firstborn was learning to speak, my best friend would always try to get her to call her Mama. When she held our daughter for the first time, she accidentally sat in my husband's lap. Oh, weird. She's been trying to replace me for years, and I never noticed, and my husband kept rejecting her advances because he only wanted me. Can I just say, I'm so happy this is not a cheater husband story because I hear those all the time and I'm sick and tired of them. So thank God we have there's loyal men out there, women. They're there. Evidence. Proof in the pudding. She said that she had drank more than she should have at the barbecue, and she decided to try her luck when she saw my husband was going inside alone. I forced her to show her phone as well, and again, there was nothing implying an affair, and all of the messages appeared to line up with my husband's phone, so I knew there was nothing deleted or manipulated. She apologized profusely and asked me not to end our friendship over this. I told her that she is nothing to me, and she could have been happy for me, and I treated her like a sister all these years just for her to try and steal my life. Now I know for sure that my husband never cheated. The guilt of doubting him is eating me up. If I tell him that I snooped through his phone and laptop and met up with my ex-best friend to verify that he wasn't cheating, it's going to impact our marriage and he'll be very disappointed in me for not trusting him. And if anything, he will lose his trust in me. If I don't tell him, the guilt is going to continue eating me up. I've never lied or kept secrets from him before, and I don't want to start now, but this is an impossible choice. He's only ever shown me how much he loves and cherishes me, and he doesn't deserve to be betrayed like this. I will update more when I tell him the truth. I told my husband everything, that I looked through his phone and laptop, and that I confronted my ex-best friend. I showed him both Reddit posts and told him that even the few comments that speculated that he was having an affair made me paranoid, and I acted on it. I apologized to him for doubting him and thanked him for always being an amazing husband and always turning down her advances and for spoiling me, especially when I was down. He said that he understands and he should have told me earlier about her trying her luck. I'm also starting therapy next week to figure out my paranoia and trust issues, process the end of my friendship, and in general try to get into a better mental space so I can be better as an individual, wife, and mother. I'm sorry, I doubted you a little bit because when I read it, I'm like, the comments like kind of threw me off too, and I was like, oh my god, maybe he did cheat. But I love that you have a perfect man in your life and you continue to have that perfect man in your life. Cope with the loss of your friend, because that definitely does suck. When you truly see someone as family like that and they betray you in such a dramatic way, that hurts. That does take processing and healing, and I'm glad you're going to therapy. But F that girl, that's so effed up. Can't trust nobody in this world, not even your best friend, not even your husband. I mean, in this case, you could trust your husband, but you know what I mean.
Am I the asshole for angrily telling a friend, I'm sorry I was born this way after she said my hair was cultural appropriation? I'm a 19-year-old female. I'm also a Caucasian person. Relevant, I think. I have a natural fro. I'm not exaggerating when I refer to it as a fro. It's a big, round puffball of curls from my head. I have a friend group. Almost all of us knew each other in high school. I'm not sure exactly how relevant this detail is, but almost everyone in the group is a person of color. We get together every once in a while, and the last time we met up, the topic of cultural appropriation came up. Topics like this are not unusual for us, as we sometimes talk about politics or societal topics. We all have the same left-wing beliefs, so it's easy for us to talk about these things. In the discussion about cultural appropriation, fros came up. Afros more specifically. I didn't really think much of it for a while, as it makes sense to me that someone mimicking the hairstyle of people of color would be offensive. I didn't really contribute to the conversation except for nodding along, as I agree with what they say, but I couldn't really add to it as I'm white. At some point in the conversation, I started to feel like people were looking at me. Not like conversational looks, but kind of like looking me up and down before glancing away and repeating. I brushed this off as I had issues with societal anxiety, so when I was little, most of the time when I feel insecure, I figure it's just my anxiety bursting through my medication to bite me in the butt. After a few minutes of feeling this way, one friend commented how weird it was that I have my hair in a fro despite being white. All of my friends are well aware that my hair is completely natural and I don't do anything to get it that way, so I was taken aback. A few other friends chimed in saying stuff like, I should straighten it, and that I would be adding to racial tension and making people see me and thinking it's okay to appropriate fros. I snapped and said, I'm sorry I was born this way. I was using a loud tone, which I was not really proud of, as myself am very adverse to anything that resembles yelling. I wouldn't say I yelled, but I was speaking noticeably louder than the volume we maintained. Some of my friends looked disappointed while others looked disgusted. They all kind of just left after that. If anything, I think I'm the asshole for how I responded, but also asking if I'm the asshole for having my hair like this. I talked to other friends or family about this, but I'm worried about them being disappointed in me. Any advice is appreciated. You who commented, which by now is a surprising amount, I appreciate all the advice you guys gave. I'm still trying to get through the comments and I haven't even begun to try to respond to any of them. Not entirely sure if this counts as an update. I've spent a while mulling over advice, and an overwhelming amount of you suggest that I stop considering these people friends, along with a lot of people who suggest that they may have never been friends in the first place. Reading responses have given me a new perspective on this, as I came here expecting I'm the asshole, but wanting more of a view which for and why. To get it straight off the bat, I don't want to stop being friends with these people, not unless it really comes down to it. I don't think this stems from prejudice or malice, as some people believed. I think rather it came from ignorance and misunderstanding. I'm going to reach out to them in the coming days and try to explain my renewed view and maybe even share some of the comments with them. These are people I've known for years. We've helped each other through dark times and celebrated good times. If they are completely unreceptive, then I don't think we'll remain friends, but I don't want to lose these people for something that can be worked out. My hope is just that we can work through this and be better. Thanks especially to people expressing concern for my well-being and their views on similar matters. Even bigger thanks to those who express concern for my hair's well-being and the idea to use hair products made for people of color. For some reason, I can only attribute to sheer lack of attention for my hair and its health. I'd never really considered this. When I think about it, I'm coming out of this with friendship tips, world viewing tips, and hair tips. I suppose more than anything right now, I'm just tired. I feel like I need to curl up in my bed for 3 days, but this is like a bump in the road that I wish to overcome. I highly doubt I'll update this. I decided not to post this on my main account so it wouldn't be associated with browsing on this site for obvious reasons. I'll try to get back to at least some comments. I guess more than anything, this update is just to say thanks for caring enough to give me advice, whether it was a single word or 3 paragraphs. And then top comment, not the asshole. No one needs to change their natural self to please others. And then somebody else quotes, your hair looks too much like mine, so you need to change it. And they said, is a pretty damn strange take. Those don't exactly sound like friends. Somebody else said, a wild take. You should straighten your hair because its natural texture confuses people, and that's a problem. Now where have I heard this kind of thing before? Am I the asshole for not ordering any food so I wouldn't have to split the bill? I, 27 male, have been a part of a small friend group, around 8 people, basically since college. For some background, 2 people in the group, Susan and Greg, are just absolute leeches. Going out for lunch, expect them to order the most expensive thing on the menu, then feed you some sob story about their finances, and then dump half the bill on you. Last weekend, Dan, one of the people from the group, told me about a casual dinner. I told him if Susan and Greg were there, then I wouldn't be able to come. He tells me that they would be there, but I should just put my opinions aside and just come once. This is kind of where I might be the asshole. I agreed with him, and I told him that I would be there. I show up, and we all get to talking. Everyone began putting their orders in. Most of us spent about $40. There were only about 6 people there. When it gets to Susan and Greg, they both order expensive dishes, around $200.
Oh my gosh.
When it was my turn to order, everyone looked at me, but I just picked up the menu and pointed to the $4 Miller Lite and sent the waiter away. Dan asked why I hadn't ordered anything, and all I said was that I lost my appetite. The other 2 friends got up as well to cancel their orders and just have drinks.
Okay.
After the main courses came out, I saw Susan and Greg picking at their food. The waiter then brings over the check. Greg then grabs the waiter and asks him to split the check 6 ways. I stand up and I correct him, saying the check was supposed to actually be split 3 ways. Greg looks at me confused and asks why, since we always split the bill. And I reminded him that 3 of us have not even eaten any food, so we would just be paying for our drinks. So basically at the end of the night, Dan, who probably only ate around $50 worth of food, was stuck with a $146 check at the end. Yes, I remember the exact number. I swear I saw his jaw drop when he picked up the receipt. I slid a 10 towards the check, said goodbye everyone, and then I walked out.
Yeah.
The next morning, I found my phone full of texts from Greg and Susan telling me I was an asshole for not ordering any food and forcing them to pay more than they had accounted for. I honestly laughed because the stakes alone were more than what they had paid, but to each their own. I also got a lot of messages from Dan saying that I could have just not came instead of pulling that stunt and getting him stuck with an outrageous bill. And then there's a few edits. Edit number 1, at this restaurant, the bar is separate, so drinks are on a separate bill, if that makes sense. And if anyone is concerned about leaving a tip, I live in Australia. And then edit number 2. Hey guys, just wanted to clarify some things. 1, 90% of restaurants where I live don't do separate checks, and they might separate the bill for you if you're lucky. By the way, this post is Australian dollars, so if you want the amounts in USD, you have to convert it. Number 2, Dan could have easily asked Greg and Susan to transfer him the money if he wanted, but he always has been about helping them through their financial hardship, even though they're just using him and keep dragging me into it. I admit what I did was immature, but I'm tired of being forced to play along. It's his money, and if he wants to spend it on them, that's fine, but I'm not paying for them. Number 3, also Dan's a really good friend to me, albeit blind as fuck. I was just trying to get him to see what kind of people he was helping. I will admit it was a tad bit petty. And number 4, thanks for the gold. I accidentally named my son after a serial killer. So for background, my last name is Gacy.
Oh no.
When naming my son, I went through several options before landing on John Wayne. I love old Western movies and I'm English, so it was a perfect uncommon name that wasn't strange or weird. So a month ago, after I named my son John Wayne, I see a trailer for a show called Devil in Disguise, and the main character's name is also John Wayne Gacy, and he's a serial killer apparently. Anyways, I won't be changing anything, I just thought this was funny. Accidentally named my son after a serial killer. So for background, my last name is Gacy.
Oh no.
When naming my son, I went through several options before landing on John Wayne. I love old Western movies and I'm English, so it was a perfect uncommon name that wasn't strange or weird. So a month ago, after I named my son John Wayne, I see a trailer for a show called Devil in Disguise, and the main character's name is also John Wayne Gacy, and he's a serial killer apparently. Anyways, I won't be changing anything, I just thought this was funny.